topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Churchill said, "Those who fail to learn from history are condemned to repeat it." Kevin Hallinan believes that certainly applies to business. Welcome to Winning Business Radio, here at W4CY Radio. That's W4CY.com. And now, your host, Kevin Hallinan.
Thanks, everybody, for joining in once again today. I am Kevin Hallinan, and welcome back to Winning Business TV and Radio on W4CY.com. We're streaming live on Talk4TV.com, in addition to Facebook, and that's at Winning Business Radio. And of course, you can listen in podcast form after the live show on all kinds of platforms, pretty much wherever you get your content. That's YouTube, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, and the list goes on. The mission of Winning Business Radio and TV, as regular listeners and viewers know, is to offer insights and advice to help people avoid the mistakes of others, right? To learn best practices. That's the how-tos, the what-tos, the what-not-tos, to be challenged and, I hope, to be inspired by the successes of others. Those are consultants, coaches, advisors, authors, founders and owners, entrepreneurs, people with expertise. But, virtually every successful person that I've ever had a chance to talk to has had some form of failure in their lives and careers. So I say it every week, while we all have to get our knees skinned once in a while, I'm driven to keep those scrapes from needing major surgery. Let's endeavor to learn from history so we don't repeat it. I've spent the better part of my career equipping businesses to grow, from solopreneurs to small and medium-sized companies all the way up to the Fortune 50. I've seen some of those companies win, and to varying degrees, I've seen some fail. I've had the opportunity to rub elbows with some of the highest performing people around and with some who probably should have found other professions. In my own businesses, I've had lots of success, but some failures too. I like to think I've learned a lot from those experiences. So yeah, you're going to hear from me, my opinions and insights, but anybody who knows me, anybody who knows me will tell you I have a hard time staying quiet. But more importantly, together we'll hear from experts, those consultants, coaches, advisors, authors, founders and owners, entrepreneurs today, inventor. And this week, by the way, is our 200th episode. We're not doing anything special other than mentioning it. It actually sort of snuck up on me, but I'm really appreciative of you, the viewers and listeners. So thank you very much. Today, my guest is Alizah Josette, inventor of the Spherehead Pillow and founder and owner of Spherehead LLC. Here's her bio. Founder and visionary Alizah Josette struggled to find an adequate pillow that would allow unrestricted movement, but prevent harmful twists and strains of the head and neck muscles. Through her persistence, dedication, and numerous prototypes, she unlocked the secret to a soothing night's sleep. A pillow that cradles and supports the head and neck, promotes alignment of the spine, and offers flexibility of sleeping positions. Fueled by the excitement of this discovery and a deep determination to help others improve their quality of rest, Alizah is pioneering the revolutionary design Spherehead, the dream pillow meticulously crafted for those seeking comfortable and meaningful rest. Alizah has a degree in paralegal studies, a 16-year career she actually has moved away from to focus on her new passion. She resides in South Kingstown, Rhode Island. Alizah, welcome to Winning Business Radio.
Hi, Kevin. Thank you so much for having me on, and congratulations on 200 shows.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It really did. I mean, I knew I was getting there, but I have the best guess. How about that? I have the best guess for the 200th episode.
Oh, well, I hope I can live up to that.
Wink. Yeah, no. It's the same as any other episode. So, so thank you for being here. Let's start with your background. As you know, I've told you I like for listeners and viewers to get a sense of someone's background, sort of their progression, how they got to where they are. So where did you grow up?
I actually grew up in South Kingstown, Rhode Island, where I am currently residing.
Yep.
It's a small little town in Rhode Island, which is a small little state.
Yep.
And every time I try to get out, it pulls me back in. So I have lived across the state of Rhode Island, tried to
Hmm.
move to Maine a couple times, but
Hmm.
like I said, something always brings me back here to this quaint little village. And that's where I currently am too.
So tell us what it was like to grow up there. Quaint and little. What was it like?
Well, there's no anonymity. So
Hmm.
forget about going to
Interesting.
CVS and not running into five people you know,
Yeah.
including the pharmacist who you went to high school with and now knows that you're like on antidepressants or something, or have very bad asthma like myself.
That's funny.
So it really is everyone knows everyone and their business. It's a very small town.
Mm,
Specifically, it's 5 villages, and I've lived
mm.
in one of those villages that make up South Kingstown for nearly 36 years
Wow.
consecutively. And yeah, I mean, it's lovely in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You don't lock your door. You can just walk out into town. It's a very friendly, community oriented place. And I feel very blessed and fortunate to
Mm,
have lived here. But I am definitely called to experience something new.
mm.
Ireland in general is very tiny, so there's really no street I haven't gone down. And so I'd love to just go to a place where I don't know what's around the bend. And I feel
Love
like
it.
it helps to grow and evolve, to live somewhere new in a different culture, experience a new place. So I look forward to that challenge someday.
Well, I have the sense that that probably will happen. What were your early interests growing up?
Well, I loved acting.
Hmm.
That was a huge passion of mine. Um, Honestly, just debating. Both my parents
Cool.
were attorneys,
Oh,
and
wow. Yeah.
so the stretch into the paralegal career wasn't that great for me.
Yeah.
But I definitely love a good debate, especially if I take the counter position of what I actually believe in. I think it's even more fun to
That's
prove an
really good. I
opinion
remember doing
that
that in school. Yeah.
right. Um, yeah, and then of course it's a little walking town. So I was always outside walking around.
Mm.
I didn't need a bike.
Hmm.
It was very easy to get around pre-driver's license. So
And did you go to school or college after high school, or was there a break there?
I did take a break.
Yep.
So that was actually one of the greatest decisions
Mm.
I've made in my life. I was the first one in my family to not go to a university directly out of high school. And that did not go over well.
I was
In,
going to
in
ask
my
that.
little
Yeah.
family, it
Yeah.
was so when I was a senior in high school, my parents basically said, well, you don't have to go to college, but you can't stay here. And I'm so grateful for that because I've been on my own since
Mm.
18 and I was already working 2 jobs when I was a senior. So I could financially support myself. And that really set me up for life.
Mm.
So when I was 23, all my friends were moving back home from school, moving back in
Hmm.
with their parents, and
Yep.
had a lot of debt. And I was buying my first home because I had been
Wow.
able to save money. I just started going to school at that point because I finally realized what I wanted to do with my life was to become a paralegal. But I was much more dedicated at that point. It really just it put me such a step ahead.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, I was able to refi that home because I had equity. So I was allowed to, that afforded me great opportunities in my 20s when, like I said, other people were struggling and paying
Yeah.
off debts.
Yeah.
And so I'm really fortunate that I became so financially independent at such a young age.
I just read an article today that's talking about decreased college enrollments because of the massive costs and debt and
Hmm.
all that. So, yeah, you were an early embracer of that, right? What were some of those earlier jobs before you decided on the law?
Oh gosh. I mean, so I started working at 13 as a
Yeah,
busser in a
yeah,
restaurant.
that's great experience. Yep.
It really was. And then even though I know technically you're not supposed to work under a certain age, but
Yeah.
it was a family friend and it was only in the summers and I just spent all my money on like CDs. But yeah, then I was a cashier at Benny's when I was about
Oh
15,
yeah. Yep.
16, a housekeeper. I worked at Subway. I worked in retail. I worked at this nonprofit that really changed my life.
Mm.
That's when I decided I wanted to become a paralegal. Initially, it was to be in public interest law. And
Oh
it
yeah.
was really working at the nonprofit that inspired that in me. And I realized that was my direction. It's not the path my career ended up taking. I ended up in probate and estates. But I do feel that we have these paths for a reason. So that introduced me. But going into this other direction in my paralegal career, into the probate and estates, is what afforded me the income to start my business and self-fund my invention,
Mm.
which probably wouldn't have happened if I went that other route. So hopefully the invention is going to contribute and help
Yeah.
people. So the goal is still the same, but the path there varied from my intentions.
What was the nature of the nonprofit?
It was called Clean Water Action.
Hmm.
So basically, we canvassed, we went door to door knocking for people to sign petitions. They're responsible for passing the Clean Water Act and the Clean Air Act of the 1970s. So definitely anyone listening out there, I think Clean Water Action is a great organization. I still support them today.
Where did you end up going to school, and why did you choose that school?
Well, when I realized I wanted to be a paralegal, I
Right.
had actually started working in a little law firm for my mom. She was a solo practitioner, right around 13, answering
Wow.
phones and doing really simple
Yeah.
documents. So drafting deeds and just very simple wills. So I already kind of had a little bit of a foundation there. And then I realized I wanted to be a paralegal. And so I went to CCRI,
Hmm.
Community
That's
College
the
of Rhode Island,
good. Thank you.
just to get an associate's. It did take me 4 years
Hmm.
because at that point I had to get a third job to put myself through school.
Wow.
So I had 3 jobs and was going to school part-time. And it did take me 4 years round the clock, when summers and everything to get my 2-year degree,
Impressive.
but very worth it.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was finally able to support myself with just one job, and I worked my way up the ladder into a very prominent firm here in Rhode Island, and my salary very exceeded my expectations and necessities in life. So I was able to give a lot more financially to charities and
Wow.
realized that, I was very fortunate with how everything worked out in my life. In hindsight, when you look back, it's like, oh, these decisions actually turned out to be quite wise for me, my little path.
That's yeah, totally with you. One of the questions, I'm trying to reword it because you kind of said it. What are some of the most important lessons you learned? I want to reword that slightly too. Maybe what are your biggest takeaways from that time period?
Well, I think do it while you can in your 20s.
Mm,
Now
mm,
I try to think back on how did I have the energy to have a
yeah.
full-time job, 2 part-time jobs, and go to school part-time for 4 years.
Wow.
And I don't think at 36 today that is something that I'm sure I could, because I still have that fire and that passion to
Hmm.
succeed in my goals. But I think really we should appreciate where we are in life and any sort of challenges that are so time demanding. Do it when a lack of sleep is less impactful on your waking life.
Oh, great segue into the work you're doing. Hey, we're going to take our first break. We'll be back in just a minute. Everybody, we'll be back with Alizah Josette.
You're listening to Winning Business Radio with Kevin Hallinan on W4CY Radio. That's W4CY.com. Don't go away. More helpful information is coming right up, right here on Winning Business Radio.
Have you ever dreamt of being on the radio? Well, now is your chance. Be a radio show guest on the #1 ranked internet radio station and promote you and your business for free. Yes, you heard it, free. Business advertising right here on W4CY.com. Call 561-506-4031 now to get booked on one of our shows. That's 561-506-4031. Get your free advertising now.
And now back to Winning Business Radio with Kevin Hallinan, presenting exciting topics and expert guests with one goal in mind, to help you succeed in business. Here once again is Kevin Hallinan.
We're back with Alizah Josette, founder and owner of Spherehead LLC. Spherehead LLC, inventor of the Spherehead Pillow, which we're going to get into in a couple minutes here. My monitor's giving me a problem. Sorry about that. All right, you didn't initially set out to invent a product, did you?
No, not at all.
So
That
tell
was
us about the desire. I mean, not the desire, the initial idea, not the product,
mm.
but the pillow itself. Why? What's the backstory?
Sure. Well, while I was working 3 jobs and in
Yeah,
school,
yeah.
I was stressed out, and it turns out I learned that I hold the stress in my neck muscles, and they went
Mm,
into spasm. I was eventually diagnosed with thoracic outlet syndrome in my left shoulder as a result of the stress. And that really is the beginning of the Spherehead Pillow. So that started me on about an 8-year run of
8 years.
trying several pillows that were available on the market
Hmm.
to help me and keep my neck muscles relaxed, stop my migraines, and just be able to attain a good night's sleep without having so much neck and shoulder pain. And over the course of these 8 years, I was not able to find anything that really worked for me on a long-term basis. And that is really why that's the inspiration for inventing a pillow. It was out of desperation and needing to get a good night's sleep. So I really just took it into my own hands and decided to invent something for myself with never the intention of coming to market for any reason. I mean, I was very happy in my paralegal career at this point and had no desire or inkling to make a switch into the entrepreneur realm.
What are some of the styles of pillows you tried that didn't work?
Well, I'd really tried probably all the big ones that are out
Hmm.
there, and I
Hmm.
don't want to call out
No,
certain
no,
names,
that's why I said
but
styles.
I
Yeah.
would say, right? For me, the pillow that was the most helpful, it's marketed as a wrinkle-free pillow, referring to your skin,
Hmm.
because my issue was that I had to start sleeping on my back, and my head kept rotating over my shoulder in the middle of the night, and that continued to strain my neck muscles. So this wrinkle-free pillow, what it did is it bordered my face and it kept it at this 90-degree angle. So I couldn't twist my head over. And so that actually helped me the most, but it was very restricting. It was hot. I am a
Hmm.
person who does like to roll on my side in the middle of the night. And
Hmm.
of course I couldn't. You're prevented from any other, you're locked into sleeping on your back
Yeah.
in this very
Yeah.
certain position. So a lot of things in life have pros and cons. And I did find that was the most helpful, but the cons just turned out to be too much for me to handle.
Yeah. My wife tells me if I sleep on my back, I snore. Otherwise, I don't. I'm normally sleeping on my side, sometimes on my belly. Um, this is good radio and TV sleep talk. I generally don't tell people that. Not that I
Well, we
care,
wanna
but
know these
it's
personal
just kind
things
of
about you
funny.
too. It's
Yeah.
hard
Yeah.
having the one-sided conversation because I
Hmm.
normally would love to say, "Well, what were your childhood hobbies and where did you grow up?" So I appreciate the personal tidbits.
You talk about comfortable and meaningful rest. What do you mean by that? I mean, I know what it sounds like, but
Hmm.
go beyond the obvious. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think that we can use sleep to our advantage,
Mm,
obviously in a lot of ways. So, of course, mentally, but also physically. So we are in a position for a certain amount of time, and we're very cognizantly aware of our posture during our waking life.
mhm,
And we can sense when we're in pain. But when we're sleeping, we're using a chunk of time where we are just in a different state of rest. And honestly, I think that if we turn our sleep into more productive manners for our physical well being while we're in this state of rest, it just helps benefit us when we wake up in the morning. So for me, I think meaningful rest is really utilizing that time that you're in bed to help your muscles relax, to
mm.
not just regenerate your mind and rejuvenate and heal psychologically, but physically too.
You must know a bunch of sleep stats. And I'm not, we don't have to rattle those off. I'm simply asking, you always hear 8 hours of sleep,
Mm.
but how realistic is that?
Well, so I'll be honest with you. I
Mm,
think that the amount of sleep a person needs is very dependent on the individual.
mhm,
So I actually don't recommend, I feel like if someone needs 8 hours, so my life partner, he likes to get 9 hours of sleep every night.
mhm,
And he feels it if he doesn't. I like to get 6. And
mhm.
that there are some people out there who are brilliant geniuses who like to get 4 hours of sleep
Yeah,
because they
yeah.
use their time laying in bed to contemplate and think and solve their own personal issues or mysteries of the universe. So I really think it depends on the person. For me, 6 hours is convenient. I feel great. I get a nice little REM cycle in there,
Mhm.
and any more than that, sometimes I feel overtired and drowsy. So I personally do the 6.
Can you give us a sense of, I don't know, how sleep deprived the world is, the nation is? I mean, it seems like a ubiquitous problem to me.
It really is, and I think that's because we try to pile so much into our lives.
Mhm.
So I think that we get a lack of sleep overall as a nation for a couple of reasons. I think that stress
Yeah,
is a
huge.
huge, right? I mean, a lot of people can set the time to go to bed, but they can't shut off their brains.
Mm,
And the stress in general can keep us awake. But then there's also the reality of life. So a lot of people have one job or two, have children. Um, where is their personal time for them?
mm,
So if you take just an average person, they get home from work, they have to make dinner, they have to get the kids bathed and bedtime and dinner and whatever it may be. I know I said dinner twice, but eating's important. But then let's say that you do your bedtime routine and you know that you have to wake up at 6 a.m. or something. Right now it's 10 o'clock at night or whatever it may
mm,
be. And so you should start your bedtime prep for yourself. But human beings, we need our relaxation. We need our mindless time. We need to
mm.
let go. And so
Yeah.
some people scroll on their phones. I personally meditate, listen to music, watch the evening news. And I think that's an overall lack of sleep too, because we have to trade off. There's only so many hours in a day. And where do we find the personal me time in that
Mm,
day when you have so many other obligations and responsibilities? So I try to rework sleep in my mind. And I talked to my partner about this, the one who likes to get, over 9 hours. That's really hard for him. He's a nurse and
hmm.
he works 12-hour shifts.
Oh, yeah.
And I try to tell him, you know what? How about you get 8 hours of sleep, but you spend 1 hour stretching and doing yoga or reading? Because I think that there's other ways we can benefit our bodies
Mm.
besides going into a REM cycle. But to each their own. I haven't won that battle yet. So,
Sounds like a good argument to me. All right, tell us, or rather, take us through the early process. You said I can't find the right pillow. Like from day one, when the idea popped in your head, I got to do this on my own. What did that look like? Did you have to find raw materials? Did you have to form a pillow? I mean, walk us through
yeah.
that.
Well, so it took me years
Mm,
after the idea came to me
yeah.
of the shape that I needed, the
And
Spherehead
again, this is just
Pillow.
out of necessity, not out of this brilliance that you had this product.
Right.
Yeah.
And I had it in my mind for a really long time,
Mm,
but because like I said, it's a completely unique, revolutionary shape. So I kept searching for something similar. I couldn't find it. And honestly, I was putting it off because I didn't want to deal with
mm,
the hassle. Like I said, I had a very busy life too.
yeah. Yeah.
And but finally, when I decided to bite the bullet and I needed to invent a pillow for me so I could sleep and live a more productive life, it started really with me just sketching it out. And I had to find an engineer who could do a
Hmm.
CAD file for
Yeah.
me, make it into this 3D model so we could send it to a manufacturing plant to build a mold. And after that, it really just became about, I did change the mold a few times. This is
And
for
this is
myself.
again still, yeah, just for yourself. Wow.
Right. So this
Yeah.
wasn't to go to market, but it
Yeah.
was such a new design that it did take me about 3, maybe 4 tries
Hmm.
before I found the exact mold that I wanted for myself, which I have tweaked since to go to market because this
Hmm.
was very tailored to me. But
Yeah.
also it was the foam consistency that I was playing around with too. So the Spherehead Pillow is memory foam,
Hmm.
and that is tricky because you can have some that are very, very firm or some that are so mushy and soft that they cannot help you support the neck muscles and cradle the head the way that I specifically needed.
Hmm.
So that was a big part of my redoing it, was really just to figure out the exact sort of consistency in the foam that I wanted.
Wow. How did you know when you had it?
Honestly, I felt it. And I was like, this is perfect. And my first night, I'm not going to lie, the first night I
Mm.
did not make it through. So it's all about spine alignment. And so for me on that first night, my feet were going into spasm. So my
Wow.
toes were going crazy. And so about halfway through the night, I tossed the Spherehead pillow and I went back to my pillow I was using at the time.
Yeah.
And but by second night, I laid down on it and I had muscle memory and I've been sleeping on it ever since.
And I know you said this pillow is like a health aid, right? So
Mhm.
it's something that takes a little bit of time to get used to, but the benefit is there, but people should expect to feel some discomfort, right?
Absolutely. So I do
Not
compare
pain,
it.
but new sleep position, let's say.
Well, exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, you may need insoles in your shoes. You may need
Mm.
an adjustment by a
Oh, yeah.
chiropractor. You may need
Good
to go to the
example.
gym. I mean, there's a lot of things that we need to do for our overall physical well-being, our body, that can be uncomfortable at first. But if we get through the discomfort, we stick with
Mm.
these health aids and practices, it's
Hmm.
ultimately beneficial for us. And I do feel that a lot of people who suffer the way that I did with neck, shoulder, even lower back or hip pain, they've probably have tried several things out there.
Mm.
So they're
Yeah,
really willing to give something a fair shot and not just
that's
try
probably
it
true.
for a couple hours and toss it aside. So I think that's why Spherehead has been successful, because even though there is this adjustment period, the market of those who are purchasing it, those consumers, they're not, this isn't the first pillow they're trying,
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
out there. So they've been down the road, they're desperate. This invention gives them hope. That's what I hear all the time, especially from doctors, chiropractors, and physical therapists.
Mm.
See the Spherehead pillow, and it's such a unique, revolutionary design that they say it inspires hope in them that maybe this is something that can work. And I think the individuals out there who suffer from these sort of pain, they recognize that too, and so they're willing to give it a fair shot.
When did you realize you were creating something marketable?
Well, actually, so the manufacturing plant that I ordered my prototype from, they wouldn't let me just order one. It was a minimum of 4. So I had some
Okay.
extras,
Hmm.
and I ended up giving them out to people who needed them over the course of some time, less than a year. But
Yeah.
I was handing them out, just realizing that it was helping me and it could help others. And the people who were using them really did find relief and they loved it. And that's when I realized, okay,
Yeah.
I did it out of desperation. There was this hole in the market for me. Obviously, there's this hole in the market for others. So although it may not be for everyone, it definitely is helping a demographic out there. And that's really what inspired me to take on the stress and take the leap and become an
Mm.
entrepreneur, just
Mm.
so I can help other people who are also suffering the way I was.
And you hold 3 patents.
Yes.
So tell us
Yes.
about the patents, and then I want to know about that process as well.
Oh, sure. That was actually the easiest process of the whole
Oh,
thing.
that's surprising.
Well, mainly because I hired a firm to do the
Okay.
patents for me.
Okay.
So for me, it was just a waiting game. I just had to sit back and pay the bill. But
Hmm.
the work wise, besides reviewing what the brilliant attorneys at Bold did, that's the firm that I worked with, and they were phenomenal. And yeah, so at first I did my utility patent, and that is a parent and child patent. So that's 2 separate patents. Basically, the parent is just very overarching. So it just
Hmm.
shows the design of the pillow, even though that's not my design patent, but still, it just kind of lays it out in really simplistic terms. And the child of that utility patent is more specific details. And then the design patent is really not talking about how the pillow is used at all, but it just shows exactly the shape of it and exactly what it sounds like. It's a design patent.
All right. I want to get more into the pillow and the process in another minute. We'll be back in about 60 seconds with Alizah Josette.
You're listening to Winning Business Radio with Kevin Hallinan on W4CY Radio. That's W4CY.com. Don't go away. More helpful information is coming right up, right here on Winning Business Radio.
The YP.com website is your local search engine. If you're looking for a good restaurant, it can help you find the right one nearby with ratings and reviews. Or if your car breaks down, you can use the YP app to find the closest repair shop. Or maybe you're just looking for something to do on a Friday night. Well, it has great local coupons for all sorts of things in your area. No matter what, when, or where, if you're looking for something, YP Local Search can help you find it. So go to YP.com or download the app to search local, find local, and save local.
And now back to Winning Business Radio with Kevin Hallinan, presenting exciting topics and expert guests with one goal in mind: to help you succeed in business. Here once again is Kevin Hallinan.
All right, we're back. The company is Spherehead LLC. The product is the Spherehead Pillow, the invention, and she's Alizah Josette, founder, inventor, brilliant entrepreneur. We'll come up with a whole bunch of adjectives. We can
I
make
like
some up too.
brilliant.
I like brilliant too. I want to try something. And this is, if you're listening in a podcast, go to the website and take a look at it. Do you happen to have one nearby?
Oh, sure.
All right, grab one
Yeah.
and just show us.
So this is the
Okay.
Spherehead Pillow. It's hard with the camera and the lighting. I'm sorry
That's all
about
right.
that.
That's right.
But
This was kind of
so
spur of the moment.
this is the spherical side. This is the
Mhm.
side you would not sleep on.
Mhm.
And then this is the side that you do. So this is where it cradles and supports the head. And then this neck indent, it mirrors the curve of the cervical spine.
Hmm.
And so the way that it works is with the head resting in the center concave, the cervical section in the back, that's what lets it roll with the user during the night so they can
All right.
transition from back to side sleeping seamlessly. The pillow will stay under their head, keeping them supported and comfortable. And I just like, if I'm showing the pillow, I just want to say it's squeezy. So people always see it. And when I go to trade shows and expos, and when they just see it from far away, they feel like it's going to be very firm. And it's actually very soft and comfortable. So I like to show people
Nice.
memory foam isn't exactly how it looks, it's how it feels.
And it's in a, I don't know, how would you describe the material? It looks like got a sheen to it. Looks like it's very comfortable.
It is. So it does come with a charmeuse fabric pillowcase. So that's like a silk satin material. I am working right now on a cotton pillowcase as well. That's the only negative feedback that I've received about the Spherehead is actually about the pillowcase, which is wonderful because that
Yeah.
means there's nothing to do with the foam. But right now, for anyone who does not like the charmeuse fabric, I picked it because it's wonderful for all hair types. But for those
Yeah.
who
Talk
may
about
find
that. Pause on that. What do you mean by that?
Oh, well, so that sort of fabric, it just helps prevent breakage. It keeps
Mhm.
hair smooth and shiny. A lot of people use that satin or silk charmeuse fabric as bonnets for their hair when they sleep. Just because it really is so beneficial regardless of your type of hair. And I needed an initial pillowcase to go to market. So I picked that one just because it was universal. But it does fit in any pillowcase in your home. So I tell people if they don't like the charmeuse fabric, the Spherehead pillow will fit in any standard pillowcase as well. But hopefully the cotton one will be coming out early in 2025.
So it is sleep aid friendly. Talk about that.
Yes. So I say that because for me, I sleep with a padded eye mask. And the pillows that I have tried, especially the one that I referenced in our first segment, that wrinkle-free pillow,
Yeah.
it dug it into my face. So every morning I woke up with a crease that took hours to go away.
Wow.
And I know a lot of people who sleep with those really invasive CPAP machines,
Yep.
even the ones that are just in the nose. They're more difficult when you want to sleep on your side. A lot of pillows can dig in there too. So the Spherehead pillow, whether you're on your back or side, it rests along the outer curve of the face. And so therefore, it just doesn't interfere with any sort of facial sleep apparatus. And that's why I try to say it's sleep aid friendly. I will be having a sleep study done, hopefully by next summer, that my goal is for insurance companies to cover the Spherehead pillow for those who have sleep apnea. I want doctors to be able to write scripts for it because I do think it will help that market significantly, but it just takes time to meet all the levels that the insurance company requires for that authorization. So
Wow. That's awesome. Good luck with that. And this can be used alone or with another pillow or pillows.
yes. So for people who like to sleep that more elevated position on 2 or 3 pillows, because there's an adjustment period with the Spherehead pillow already, I always recommend just put it on top of a standard pillow. You'll still get the spine alignment. It'll still move with your head during the night. It just may help with that transition. Because it is right now, it is low to the mattress in and of itself because that's the ideal spine alignment. But I do know several customers now who use the pillow and they on top of another pillow, and they say that it still helps, especially their lower back and hip pain. They say they still feel relief. So it carries on through.
Well, that's the next thing I want to ask. What are some of users or customers saying about the pillow itself and their experience?
Well, so it seems that adjustment period is greatly varied.
Okay.
So some love it from night 1, some night 2, some need 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what I'm noticing the most is really everyone is very different in
Yeah.
terms of their comfort level with it.
Their body type, their size, their weight, all kinds of things, right?
Sure,
What
absolutely,
about the
especially if
type
they're
of bed?
so that I haven't heard yet, but I've
Mm,
been curious because I know those especially those beds that, raise up.
yeah.
So I was wondering about that, but I know that there are some customers who use the Spherehead pillow in a recliner. So I feel like
Hmm.
it will work with that sort of mattress too, that also goes into that, inclined position. But I have a soft mattress,
Mhm.
and that does not affect me in any sort of negative way with the Spherehead pillow. So just because there's something soft on top of something soft, I'm not
Mhm.
sinking in anymore. It's still making sure that I'm supported. So I don't think a mattress makes much of it. I haven't heard yet. So the problem is I've only been on market for about 7 months now.
Right.
And
Right.
so I haven't sold hundreds of thousands. So
Mhm.
I'm sure I'll have more feedback. Maybe next time, if I get the opportunity to talk with you again, I'll have more information. But as of right now, I haven't heard any sort of complaints in that area.
Well, reach out when that happens or let Joe reach out, because I'd love to follow up with you and have you on again.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
so you're partnering with doctors. What kind of doctors?
Specifically chiropractors and physical
Mhm.
therapists, but I'm
Okay.
branching out now to try to work with massage therapists as
Mm.
well.
Mhm.
But it's been very easy for chiropractors and physical therapists. As I said before, they see the pillow and it gives them hope. And so it makes it simple for me to have them try it. So as a new startup business, especially with something that's such a revolutionary design,
Yeah.
it can be a little bit of an uphill battle, but not with the doctors, not with the chiropractors or the PTs. So they're much easier and willing
Mm.
to give it a
Mm.
try. And I greatly appreciate that. And yes, I have an affiliate partnership program where I work with the doctors. They use it themselves and then they recommend it to their patients.
So what is that if somebody wanted to partner with the affiliate program, what does that look like?
So they can contact me through the website. I have a
Right?
form right on there. And then I have different programs. So sometimes I'll just give it to them for free. Sometimes I sell it to them for the wholesale price.
Mhm.
But regardless of how they would like to acquire the pillow, I do have them use it for 1 month before they form an opinion.
Okay. Okay. What is the retail?
It retails for $59.99.
Okay. Let's see, where was I gonna go? Oh, when did you decide okay, so you found a market you realized you had a marketable product. You've done a lot of work to get there. When did you realize you needed to form a company and you chose an LLC?
So I chose an LLC because part of my paralegal background was
Mm,
doing corporations. And so I knew just a sole proprietor was perfect for me for starting off. I'm at a point,
versus an S or a C?
yes. And I'm at the point now where I'm starting to look for investors. So
Mm,
eventually I will be changing it over to a C Corp.
mhm,
But for right now, the LLC suits just fine. And I realized I had to do that for a few reasons. The first is really protection.
yeah,
And also, I wanted to be upfront. I want to be able to file a tax return in the state of Rhode Island for my
mm,
business.
mhm,
And I did want to protect my home and my personal assets as
mhm,
well. But it really is about starting a company. The company is what is pursuing this pillow and putting it out there. And so I would advise anyone who it's the paralegal background,
right,
right? It never occurred to me to not form an LLC,
yeah,
just to be
yeah.
honest. I mean, if I would advise a client the exact same. So,
So they should check with their advisors, their CPA, their lawyers.
yes, well, I think that estate planning is all encompassing. So, you
Mm,
really want to make
mhm,
sure that your home is held properly, however you
mm,
want that. Get your healthcare documents done, especially that
mm,
will or a trust, and companies are right in there. It's in that ball as well. And so
mm.
I'm very fortunate that I have such an extensive background in that field because it definitely gives me an insight onto how I should hold different assets going forward.
That's excellent. And you're bootstrapping, right? You're funding this yourself up to this point.
Yes. Yes, I'm completely self-funded up till now, but I am
Mhm.
looking to expand in 2025. And so that's why for the first time I'm out there looking for
Mm.
investors so I can really take the company to the next level.
So if you're an investor, you might want to reach out as well. Did this feel like a risky process? In other words, when you decided, all right, I'm going to quit my job, leave my career behind, you also left your income behind.
Yes.
Talk about that, those emotions and that set of decisions there.
So yes, it was a huge risk,
Mm,
but I will be honest that from the time I was very little in
mm,
single digits, I knew that my purpose in life was to contribute and help people.
wow.
And I do meditate on a regular basis.
Hmm.
And I just knew that my path was to bring the Spherehead pillow to the public. I keep the price as low as I can, and
Hmm.
so it stays affordable so we can help people. Um, Down the road, as I expand, I most likely will raise the price $10, but give
Hmm.
an option to contribute 10% to 3 separate charities at checkout.
Cool. Yeah.
Um, so that money is not going to be coming to me. It's just more to keep it in circulation. I also
Hmm.
want to open my own manufacturing plant in 3 to
Hmm.
5 years. So this way I can help and give jobs to those in that
Wow.
field.
Wow.
And then, yes, I do want to financially contribute as much as I can if it's a successful company. So these are my goals. And I had faith. I knew that that was my path forward.
Mm,
And so I just
mm,
followed that passion and that intuition, that inner voice. I know not everyone's very spiritual. I have not always been, but I am now. And I heard it loud and clear that this is what I was meant to be doing. So it was really just having that faith and trust that this was my purpose to help and contribute was through this company that gave me the courage to make the transition.
that's so cool. And how are you going to market now? I know they can be purchased on the website, which again is sphereheadpillow.com, excuse me, sphereheadpillow.com, through chiropractors. Um,
Yes.
how
And I'll
else?
be adding a link on the website too that says all the affiliates. I have 11 right now.
Great,
So it'll
great.
say the doctors you can purchase them with
Oh,
as
right.
well. And then it's also available on Amazon.
Oh, cool.
And then I try to go to as many trade shows and expos and
Hmm.
conventions as I can within driving distance too. I always find that is where I sell the most when I can
Really?
interact with the public
Yeah.
and they can feel the pillow. That makes a huge difference when they can see it and feel it. And it's not just in a photograph on their screen. Photograph, it's hard to envision that
Mm,
this is a pillow because it
right,
doesn't look like
right.
one. But when you actually hold it in your hands, I find that that is really where people can make that leap and see that, oh, yes, this would be comfortable. I can see the mechanics and how it's crafted to work. And so I really try to go to as many shows as I can and get the exposure so people can actually physically touch it before they order.
Do you bring like a therapy table with you to people so they can actually lay down on it, or what do you do?
So I will be. I
Yeah,
haven't yet, but I get that all the time. And I always
yeah.
thought to myself, because then I have to purchase a second space. So once again, when you're self-funding
Oh, right,
and
right, right.
these conventions can cost thousands of dollars to
Sure,
attend.
sure.
But in 2025, yes, I have purchased 2 spaces, 2 booths, we'll say,
Hmm.
for all the conventions I've signed up for so far. And that is, yes, so I can bring a massage table with me so people
Yeah.
can lay down. Because I get asked that all the time when I'm at these conventions. They're always like, well, where can I test it out? And so I think that's definitely going to help. It'll be worth the cost,
Yeah. Versus on the rug,
right? Well,
which
so they
you
hold
probably
it
done.
up and they'll be like,
Yeah,
they take the pill and they're like, oh, okay, I can see.
yeah. What's been your biggest challenge so far? Your toughest part?
Finding people to trust that I work with. I
Mm,
think that's actually been the most
wow.
challenge. I have been really fortunate as of late that I vet people very well, and I feel so grateful for everyone that I am currently working with who is on my team. But along the way, I mean, this has been about 5, 6 years in the
Yeah.
making. I had to learn that lesson the hard way.
Mm,
And I didn't vet as well as I should have. And I think that's been the greatest challenge for me. I'm a very trusting person, and I
hmm.
don't see the purpose in saying you can do things you can't, misleading someone, will say, or misrepresenting yourself. So I never questioned
Mm,
anyone in their ethics in that sort of way. But the truth is, in an entrepreneurial role, there's a lot of people who can say certain things that doesn't necessarily mean that they can perform or live up to that. And so that was definitely my greatest lessons
Mm,
to date. I had to learn that more than once.
So what do you advise the next person who's listening? What questions, or would you, knowing now what you didn't know then, what are the different questions or different ways you'd vet somebody?
Mainly personal recommendations.
Yeah.
Find
Yeah.
someone that you trust.
In your network.
Yes.
Mm.
Someone who has worked with someone prior.
Yeah.
So it's not just a name you're getting off the internet, or someone who's heard of someone. Maybe they met at some sort of event, but they haven't worked with themselves personally. Those are not relationships to pursue. I am sure that there are wonderful people on the internet and third parties introductions. However, for me, I now only work with people who are personally recommended by someone else I trust. And they can say, I've worked with this person, I trust them, they can deliver. That is someone I will take seriously.
Excellent. All right. You've been on a number of podcasts, a number of shows. What's something that you haven't shared yet, or, something maybe unique that you want people to know?
Ooh, that's a great question. Pertaining to the company?
Yeah. The company or the product. Yep.
Sure. Something I haven't shared yet. You're right. That's a challenge.
I just came up
I
with a
guess,
question too.
you know what I haven't shared
Yeah.
is that I don't necessarily know if I would do it again.
Interesting.
Knowing what I know now
Yeah. The work.
and being through this process,
Mm.
right? I don't know if I would have had the courage to
Wow.
take the risk if I had already been there, done that, and I knew really what it entailed.
That's a great answer.
And I think that's right. I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
how many people come out and really say that, but there's several of us in this world who take risks. And really, if we could go back in time, knowing what that risk entails, would we make that same decision or go an alternate path? And I cannot say with any sort of certainty that I would be here today if I knew ahead of time what it really looked like to be an entrepreneur. Because it's a
That's
lot different
insightful.
than I had intended.
In fact, my next question was, what advice do you have for others with a design or an idea? Maybe that's it. Do you want to add to that?
Well, I think that it depends what your passion is. So for me, the passion is to contribute and give back. And I am sure that that drive would have brought me to this place eventually, regardless if I knew or not.
Yeah.
But I think I would say to anyone out there with an idea, make sure that know where your goals align, know where your passions lie, and what's your real motivation behind it.
Yeah.
If your motivation is pure and strong, and it can give you the strength to persevere through all the challenges, then go for it wisely with open eyes and know it's going to be a very big uphill battle. But if the motivation is not as strong and secure, then go ahead and patent it, but maybe think about selling the patents and letting someone else take it over. Because honestly, if my convictions weren't so strong in the purpose of my company, like I said, I just don't know if I would still be here doing this goal.
Cool. Very good advice. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you? Is it just through the website?
Through the website, my email address is right on there. And there's also a form that people can contact me on there as well.
And there it is in the crawl.
Yeah, so I would say definitely through the website. I'm very easy to reach.
Perfect.
So I put on my direct email right there. It'll come right to me.
And it's sphereheadpillow.com. Alizah, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time.
Oh, thank you, Kevin. And I appreciate being your 200th guest. I appreciate
that's pretty
it very
cool.
much.
You'll remember that, but I'll remember it too. And thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. This is a show about business and business challenges. If you've got concerns about the sales effectiveness or growth of your company, whether your sales team is you or small or it's large, feel free to reach out to me on Facebook or LinkedIn at Winning Business Radio. You can drop me a note, and that's kevin@winningbusinessradio.com. Our company is Winning Incorporated. We're part of Sandler Training. We develop sales teams into high achievers and sales leaders into true coaches and mentors. Listen, I say it every week. We're not right for everybody, but hey, maybe we should have a conversation. Thank you, as always, to producer and engineer Juan. Thank you, Juan, for another job well done. Be sure to join us next week. That's Monday, January 6th. My guest will be attorney Nick Lepresti of Lepresti Law. Until then, this is Kevin Hallinan.
You've been listening to Winning Business Radio with your host, Kevin Hallinan. If you missed any part of this episode, the podcast is available on Talk4 Podcasting and iHeartRadio. For more information and questions, go to winningbusinessradio.com or check us out on social media. Tune in again next week and every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time to listen live to Winning Business Radio on W4CY Radio, W4CY.com. Until then, let's succeed where others have failed and win in business with Kevin Hallinan and Winning Business Radio.